Hi, my name is Ryan, and I'm the Living History Coordinator at Historic Pensacola Village here in Pensacola, Florida. As a Living History Coordinator, my main role is to oversee the Living History program, which interprets various periods of Pensacola's history over a course of 450 years. Usually that entails dressing in costume and reenacting various crafts and skills and trades of the people from that time. My day begins at about 8 o'clock. I come in to our administrative office. First thing I'm going to do is do the schedule for the day. We have several interpreters working for us. Most of them are students from the University of West Florida. And because they're students, their schedules are always changing, and sometimes we have to think on our toes. Sometimes we don't have all the staff that we need, but we make do. We open the buildings. Historic Pensacola Village has 22 different buildings. We open and disarm most of those. We go around, we assess the buildings, make sure that nothing's happened since we closed the previous day. If it's a rainy day, sometimes we're apt to find big puddles of standing water on the floor. These are old buildings after all. And then we would pass that on to our facilities person or our preservationist. After we're opened and we start the business day, I will usually come down and work with our interpreters as we're doing this morning, making sure that they know what program we're doing for the day. This happens to be a Friday, and so we're doing colonial cooking. We are going to be starting a fire. We're going to be prepping the food. Sometimes I'll work with the interpreters here in the garden. Throughout the day, I may cover a desk for someone at lunch. I may sometimes, if we're short-staffed, even give a public tour. By the end of the day, we will go around and secure all the buildings, make sure that everything is put away properly, stored up, and then we'll arm the buildings. And that's a day in a nutshell. In addition to doing hands-on things down here in the village with our interpreters, I often spend time in the office or in our archives doing research for new programming, programming like the cooking program. Right now, for instance, I am working on research on how they would weave rush seats on ladder-back chairs for our trades program. Qualifications for this type of position would be, one, I think, a love of history, really having a passion for the history and a knowledge of that particular area. Education-wise, a history degree, public history degree would probably be the most suitable. You're going to be able to have a lot more opportunities and get a lot further if you have a master's degree. The job requires someone who is not going to mind working outdoors, getting dirty. There's a lot of hands-on work that goes with it. Someone that has a love for the theatrical also really helps. You are dressing in different costumes. You are portraying different people. Now here at Historic Pensacola Village, we do not do first-person interpretation. We are third-person, but still, you are coming and, in my case, I might be an 1805 poor laboring class person as I'm dressed today. On another day, I might be part of the Spanish Louisiana Regiment in 1781. On another day, I might be a Victorian gentleman from the 1890s. So someone who likes theatricals, is comfortable with people. We interact with people on a daily basis. We are the public face of the organization. We bring hundreds of people through every month and teach them about the history of this area. We're dealing with all age ranges to very small children. We do school tours here. I've given school tours, and so you've really got to be comfortable with people. As well as being able to retain a lot of information. Research is part of it, going through primary sources and writing programs that are going to be easy to understand, informative, but also entertaining. The best part of the job is really the implementation of all the research and being able to be outdoors and interacting with the public and being able to reenact history. That's the most fun part of the job. People are really entertained by what we do, and I think that's really probably the most satisfying part of the job, and just being able to feel probably as close as we can in the 21st century as to what it was like to live back then. I mean, when we are doing our cooking program, you know, you feel the heat of the fire, you're lugging these huge cast iron pots around, and we actually get to eat and sample the food that we make as well, which are all based on 18th and 19th century recipes. You know, just recently we were stacking firewood, which sounds really mundane, but doing things like that and working in the garden, getting up and having your hands dirty, there's something satisfying about that, being able to move around so much during the day and do so many different things, being in this environment. I love coming down to the historic district and being surrounded by the most beautiful part of Pensacola. As far as the worst parts of the job, it's a necessary part of the job for sure. Sometimes some of the research can be a little bit more tedious, especially when you hit a brick wall with some of the research and getting everything typed up. But that is what our programs are based upon, and of course accuracy and integrity are key to their success. Other things that are more challenging, I wouldn't say the worst part of the job, but challenging, is just the overall lack of funding for a lot of historic sites these days across the nation. Cities, counties, and states really depend upon areas like this for tourism, but they oftentimes are neglected when it comes to that line item in the budget. And so that eventually trickles down to my position. Also, sometimes I just get a little frustrated with the process of getting new programs through. I'm an impatient personality type, and so I like things to happen more quickly, and sometimes implementing these new programs, they take time, and to craft them well, it takes time. If you're interested in having a position as a living history coordinator, my advice to you would be to find a historic site in your area that has a living history program. See if you can volunteer, or even better yet, get employed as an interpreter. Not every museum complex is going to have a living history program. So a search of the internet would probably help you find the nearest historic site in your area, or one that may be near your school. Do as much as you can, even as far as volunteering goes. Reenactments. Sometimes you might not have a historic site near you, but maybe there's a battlefield where you can go and participate in a battle reenactment. As far as education goes, public history, when it comes to the pay for a position like this, it's going to really vary depending on your location. Some sites may pay more than others. Larger sites, sites near a larger metropolitan area, maybe the site has a more well-endowed foundation. So pay is really going to vary depending on geography and the area itself. Typically, a position like this, most people are after it because they're passionate about the topic or the subject, the field, and because they're fulfilled by it. History is an area that has so many different facets that you can work in. Museums, same thing. Whether it's a curator or an archivist, or whether it's in collections, or whether it's administration. The value and significance of living history is that it bridges the chasm, or the gap between scholarly, academic history and the public. A lot of times the public does not take advantage of all the exhaustive research that academic historians have done. And we kind of bridge that gap by helping people experience history in a way that books can't, even the best ones. They come here and they use their senses. They enter the kitchen house, they see the sweat on our brow, they feel the heat of the fire, they smell the bread cooking, and they see us in the garden, and it helps them experience it and bring it alive in a way that I think will be more memorable to them. As long as our work is based on that academic research, then I think we've done that, we've accomplished that. I happen to be a living history coordinator and love it, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. Good luck to you all.